Oh my god, I almost had a perfect intro. Welcome in to episode 24 of Sundays with Sin. This is my. I wasn't ready to switch screens. I accidentally clicked it.
Hashtag producer. Well, I mean, you can go back. I don't know if you have any viewers right now.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yes.
This is my guest, Chavez. Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. Well, this is a kick-ass way to start this, you know. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from us, to be honest with you. For those of you who do not know Chavez is a music artist, drummer, streamer, controversial, really offensive, egotistical, maniacal asshole here on this platform. I'm not really sure why we actually invited him here.
I paid you to interview me.
That's right. About that, I was meaning to tell you, actually, the check didn't clear for some reason. You might want to go ahead and contact
it should be good in like 2 days. Just give it
2 days.
Time.
Okay, probably like with
exactly.
Do they count Super Bowl Sunday as a holiday? Is that what it is?
Probably.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm also a full-time streamer, so you know my money's kind of like, you know,
valid. Let's talk about the full-time streaming, not the money aspect. The full-time streaming aspect. How long have you been streaming?
Sure. As a whole. As a whole, instead of a half, I'd say just over 6 years at this point.
Okay.
From Twitch, which is the majority of my experience, and then being over here on Kick, I can say with complete assurance that my first official Kick stream date was July 21st, 2023. So I've been over here for just under 7 months now. So woohoo.
That's actually insane. You want to know why?
Why?
Because you are the second person that I've interviewed that has, and the second friend that I've made on here that started on Kick the same time that I started on Kick. I'm also hitting like my 7 months as well. We've all been here together at the same time.
Freaking wild.
Me, you, and Echoes Nation.
Rock on.
Yeah.
We have something in common.
So have you always done drumming on stream? Has it always been drumming? Drum.
Drums it is. Drum dillideds. Not originally, no. I'd say two-thirds of my streaming journey. I'll say journey.
Yeah.
2/3 of my streaming journey has definitely had drums incorporated into it, but the
Are you saying journey or Jeremy?
Journey, 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 path.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I really need sleep. Continue.
It's all good.
I'm hearing things.
No, it's but definitely a third of that start off actually with just gaming, streaming to Twitch from an Xbox. If that says anything, my OG days.
Oh yeah.
Originally for sure, but now fast forward all the way to now, it is absolutely it's a part of my life. It's who I am.
Well, I only started streaming. I just had my year anniversary with streaming actually. Yay! And I started on a PlayStation 5 where I had a tiny little Mac Mini. So it was a Mac desktop essentially, but it was like just like what's considered the tower with 2 monitors. And I didn't have a capture card. I used PlayStation Remote Play.
Wow.
On my computer.
That is definitely OG.
I casted that to I captured that for the gameplay. I captured that to my stream, and I used my TV that was like right next to my setup, sitting on like a TV stand. I used that. Actually, it wasn't even a TV stand. It was like a half-ass little tiny bookshelf on wheels, and if I touched it the wrong way, everything was gonna fall apart.
Wow.
But
quite the balance.
I would play on that. That's how I got started. I was going to stream directly from the PlayStation, but I didn't like the way that I looked. And I hated that you couldn't really edit much. And you could only do it with a PlayStation 5 HD camera, which is like, at the time, it was like $200 or whatever. I was like, this is like almost half the price of my fucking PlayStation, dog. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Those add-on sales are just legalized robbery, honestly. That's the way I see it. But
Yeah. But anyway, so how you started here? What made you do the switch on Kick?
Well, like so many, I think I
Please
speak
admit it
on
was for the
behalf of.
money.
I mean, honestly, that was the major incentive. Let's be real. That was absolutely the number one major incentive.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I
but
did it, because I was just like, I feel bad when y'all are sitting here gifting me a 5 bomb and I'm getting like $10 off this and you just spent like almost 30.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's well, I mean, it just makes sense, right? If you're going to be doing the same thing, might as well get a 95/5 instead of a 50/50, or even if you're lucky, more of the partnership program is 70/30, but the math just doesn't add up. Um, but I think so. That was the biggest thing, to be honest with you. The second thing is, like so many, we all got fed up with the politics, the structure, the system of Twitch. Everybody's got a Twitch story, as far as I'm concerned. Mine's really simple. I just got fed up with. I didn't actually get officially canceled, but it was inevitably going to happen. I'll just say that. Especially doing drums with copyrighted music, having your VODs muted half the time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just bad experience. So I was like, forget it, man, and came over here and never looked back. The only way I'll go back to Twitch is if A, just to be honest, is if somebody pays me, or B, if there's some kind of like raid train. I was a part of so many musical raid trains over there on Twitch, but it's beyond oversaturated at this point. Whereas here on Kick, getting in ground level is always more beneficial long term, especially for a business proposition in that way. If you look at it like that.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned about like the VODs and stuff being muted on Kick, because or not Kick, Twitch, because I remember when I had gotten started and I went ahead and I did, when I finally like did the switch from the HD camera, because I was like, fuck this. I did like 2 half-ass like 30-minute streams and I was fed up with it. And so when I started doing like actual like what would be considered more streaming, I had like the first like 3 VODs were just muted. And it was like copyright infringement. I was getting flagged left and right. And I was like, dude, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so like I couldn't even get good clips because like they would mute part of the stream and like all these warnings and stuff. And I was like, it was such a headache. I finally learned that somebody had suggested was whenever you're streaming to go ahead and actually hit the record button as well, and then go through that VOD that you've created, like on your own, instead of having to go back and, because I used to go back and like download it from Twitch to go ahead and then edit anything that I wanted to edit. There's so many.
On top of that, let me just say that the compression that Twitch has, I mean, Kick actually does this too, but the compressions for the VODs, I mean, it looks like trash. If you have a higher recording, like that's,
I think the highest,
put all of your bit rates to that for sure.
I think the highest, I mean, now I could have sworn I had one, because I've had to download a few off of Kick, because I like something happened with the recording or whatever the case was. But I feel like there was, I love Muffin, by the way. I don't normally I try not to talk too much during the podcast to other people, but like we've been kind of intertwining it a bit, because people who listen to it, my Spotify listeners, my Apple listeners, they typically come from the streaming world anyway, so they know that we're doing this live streaming. But Muffin and JP are like some of my faves, and I love Muffin. She's in like almost every single stream. She's the best. Yeah. And JP is one of the homies too. But what I was gonna say is that I did a download from Kick, like 1, 2, maybe like 3 tops. I could have sworn out of one of them there was like a 1080 option, but this last one that I downloaded, there wasn't a 1080 option. The highest that they had was like 720. And I know that I stream in 1080 because like that's how it all is set up. And so I was like, well, good thing I just need the audio. I don't need the visual anyway. I was like, so that's not that huge of a deal. But I don't know. It's been a while since I've had to go ahead and actually download it from the site, like get the VOD from the site. I started recording as soon as I stream. Like as soon as I hit go live, I'm hitting record. And I have not fucking looked back since.
Yeah, look, as a video editor, like that is ultimately the best thing that you can do. You definitely have the right mentality for something like that. That way, as a backup, the VODs are there if you need it. But the extra step that we have to take to get Kicks VODs, they're going to streamline this eventually, but right now it's a little cumbersome for sure and a little annoying. But they're growing, they're making the progress, they're doing their thing.
Yeah. How has your experience been on Kick versus Twitch so far?
Overall, very, very well, very, very well. Amazing. Like I said, progress, their development, their response time. They actually do listen to the streamers for sure. It's incredible, really. It's just, I mean, again, I keep using this word progress, but I'm really kind of overwhelmed by it because I'm just not used to that. I'm really not. Over on Twitch, you're a shrimp in a massive ocean, not even a small fish, but you're a shrimp in a massive ocean, whereas here, I mean, good grief, we're talking about coming up on 7 months or just under 7 months. And I mean, I don't know about you, but my growth is already surpassed my following on Twitch in less than 5 years, which is incredible. That's the community. That's the people. That's not, hey, look at me and what I've done. But that level of support is very telling for sure.
It has been insane.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. They definitely have some things they got to work on, of course, but which we can get into that if you want to. But
yeah,
overall,
I'm open to talk about all of it, Chavez. I'm excited because I know that you don't hold shit back. So
absolutely not.
Sure. I also just want to interject here. I do apologize. Negan, my lovely partner, the love of my life, my handsome man, just decided to. Hello, Whittles with the 5 gifted. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Oh my gosh, she gave you a gifted one.
Yes, she did. Thank you for that gift. Appreciate it.
Out of some really, really cool people. And again, I know it has it there in Botrix, and I know a lot of you guys have already donated and helped support it. I just want to give another heartfelt thank you because this month everything is going towards being able to see my brother next month. And if you're curious to learn about it, you can go ahead and do the command that's !Jake JAKE in the chat. It'll tell you a bit about him and about what we're trying to raise, so we can go ahead and go do. And I will be putting something out there soon. I think I'm going to do my first charity stream ever. And I need to get with some people who are more experienced at it, but I want to do a charity stream. And I'm hoping that he will actually co-stream it with me and be a part of it. And Bob Kick with a 2-month subscription.
Friggin' Bob. Who doesn't love Bob?
Of course. I'm glad I come by. I've seen this guy everywhere. Teach me to flex. I know. I'm hoping to learn too. So I do appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. I love you. Bob is amazing. He helped me the other night. I got botted out of nowhere, and Bob was in here, and he was just like, "Let me see if I can do something before you end stream." And I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. Giving this girl false hope, man.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Negan just texted me, guys, just so you know, and I'm gonna read you the text, and then we'll get back into questions here with Chavez. He goes, is now a good time to tell you I've got a $500 parlay on this game. 72.5 if we hit. Can't tell if he's joking or if his brother actually went ahead and put that money down for that. They're horrible at this because he knows, sir, we are in save mode right now. Anyway. So again, thank you so much, Whittles, for that. Per usual, definitely his own individual. Yes, Bob is one of my favorites. I'm excited to go see him and the Mrs. I call Mrs. Bob Kick his the manager of Bob Kick. I'm excited to go see them in Loot Fest. Are you going to Loot Fest?
I am not. I'll definitely be at DreamHack in Atlanta.
We didn't ask that. Sure. I want to know why you're not going to Loot Fest.
I will not be. No, I would love to, but
why? Oh, is it okay? You know what? That's fair. Because life happens. You're a dad, right? So you have how many kids do you have? You just have one?
I have 2 kids.
Two.
I have a
okay.
4-year-old boy with we're actually in early phases trying to figure out what extreme forms of autism he has. It might be mild, it might be lower, nothing dramatic, but. A 4-year-old with a little bit of autism and a 7-month-old little baby girl. So.
Oh my goodness. I am actually interviewing Chavez right now, Little. We're going to start talking about some random ass stuff too. But yes, it is a stereotypical interview. You know, JP, it's funny you mentioned that. If Whittle can filter through probably like her thousands of DMs, I actually might have reached out about an episode. Hmm. But anyway, how has that been as being a parent though? Okay, because I have, right, just for reference here, I have a 7-year-old boy, a 5-year-old boy that I gave birth to. And then when me and Negan met, he had a 6-year-old daughter who is now 9. And so I've taken on this extra child who literally is, I mean, she's made a comment before. She's like, I'm the daughter you've always wanted. And I'm like, girl, you are not wrong. I was like, you are not wrong. But she is, she's, I love it. How's being a parent?
Oh, it's spectacular. I mean, of course. I mean, any parent would probably say that, but I am well, any parent would probably say this too, but I absolutely adore my children. I love them so very much. I'm crazy about them. It's definitely a learning um, opportunity each and every single day. I'm sure you can vouch for that. You learn something new every single day. Um, for somebody like me, in full transparency, so this is how open and honest I am about this. I have a full-on anger problem. You'd probably be surprised hearing that. Maybe
you have an anger issue. I would have never guessed. It or not. You seem so calm, cool, and collected all the time.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, first of all, I mean, actually, I don't know if that's sarcasm or.
No, that's definitely sarcasm. I'm very sorry if it wasn't laid on thickly enough. I apologize. I told you I'm running low on sleep here, so I apologize if I'm lacking here.
It's all good. No, either way, I would have responded the same way anyway. But the level of patience and tolerance that one has to deal with, especially for somebody like me, this is not a woe is me statement. It's just it's a challenge for me, and I need to learn more and more about patience and tolerance and setting proper expectations. I can do that in the professional world, left and right. I've been doing it for over 2 decades, but in my own home, with somebody I can't just write up or fire. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
I love how you're being vulnerable about that, because I too have anger issues. I come from a very, very traumatic childhood, but I know that as a millennial parent, I have every fucking resource available to me that my parents didn't have when I was growing up. I have every available resource to be better to my children. So even though my parents or my upbringing may have created some issues that I have as an adult, I know that I also have resources available to me to be able to fix this and not let this traumatize my children and, bring some really amazing human beings up in the world. I have some anger issues too. And I think it's really comforting to hear another parent admit this out in the open, because a lot of people like to kind of, I wouldn't say hide it, but they shy away from admitting that because it's embarrassing in a sense. It's embarrassing. And it's like, I'm a grown ass person. I shouldn't have these anger issues, but I do. And it's really big of you to actually be open and admit that. Yeah. Because it's a struggle, dude. It's a fucking struggle.
It is. And well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. I really do. And the big thing about, well, for me, so I am very black and white. I don't work well with gray. I'm very systematic. I'm analytical. I'm precise. I'm meticulous in everything that I do. I process logic and reason first, and feelings and emotions second. Now, my natural psyche leans into feelings and emotions because I'm a human being, just like anybody else. However, when it comes down to it, hopefully I'll have enough wisdom in that moment to where I'll pass this test of anger or whatever it may be. And then I start focusing on cause and effect, action, reactions. I'm huge into psychology. I might be able to get.
I can tell. I like it.
But nonetheless, it helps me keep myself in check in that way. And in regards to, say, anger, I am that open about it to where, learn from my mistakes too. Like, everybody puts a lot of this pressure on themselves, whether they're trying to sell themselves or they're trying to put their best foot forward, or even as it pertains to streaming, everybody shows their good moments, their happy moments, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But authenticity goes so much deeper than just your standard surface level hey guys, good to see you, blah, 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 or whatever. And that might be genuine, more power to you. But it's amazing when you have that human connection. I'm all about nurturing the human spirit and trying to develop them to be better than they already are. And that goes for me too. This is a two-way street. It's not just about you. It's not about me. It's about us, and that kinship.
Absolutely. I love that. What a W fucking take on that.
Big nerd.
You mentioned your son. So you said 4.5, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you're currently, you and your partner are currently talking, or wife are currently talking about getting some more tests ran for, you say he's on the spectrum, or you believe he is?
He absolutely is. What started off as a gut feeling from both of us, we went into, I'll just say step one. I'm learning about this whole process, but step one was getting him checked out, if you will, and the doctor, inspector, whatever, she said, oh yeah, he absolutely has something, but we're about to dig in deeper and figure out to what extent, what level. And so we're going to be going back, I think, next week or something like that, and let the tests begin, and we'll just cross that bridge when we have to. So we're not alone. The autism is running rampant. It's all over the country. And
I haven't talked too much about it recently because I am still waiting to get into the doctor. But for my 7-year-old, I also believe that he is a high functioning autistic child. I do. Yeah. There are a lot of signs of it. He was tested when he was younger, so a little bit younger than what your son is currently. He was tested when they tested him originally, and I thought there was some issues, and I hate calling it issues, but I mean, like, now that it's not normal, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not like the societal norm. Okay. And I was telling his dad several times, I was like, I believe Tobias may have, I think he might be on the spectrum. It's been about almost 4 years since he was tested. When he was tested, the doctor said, I really don't think he's autistic. I just think that your 3.5-year-old is running, like, his brain is the size of like an 8-year-old's, and he's trying to process stuff right now. He's always been extremely smart. Like, I mean, this kid is, I was very, 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 very good in school when it came to my like just homework and like math and like my subjects, right? The only grade that I ever got that was really bad was PE. I didn't want to fucking dress out. I was like, I don't care. I was a fat bitch. I was self-conscious. I didn't want to run.
Were you embarrassed about your body or something?
I was, because my first day as I dressed up, a guy turned around, he looked at me, he goes, oh wow, you went here last year, right? And I said, yeah, I did. And he goes, you used to be really, really fat. You're not as fat now.
Oh, thank you. I'm less fat.
I was like, wow, thank you so much. I will never be dressing out again.
What a sweet guy.
Old term Asperger's. I'm also new in this. Oh, On Fire. You know what? I think On Fire is actually a friend that I've met here too. I mean, I've met a lot of amazing fucking people. I don't know about you, dude. Amazing people in this whole platform. I know there's a lot of negativity around it, but I've like the amazing people that I've met far outweigh the negative shit. Honest to God.
The pros outweigh the cons in that way for sure.
Oh yeah. But and I'll tie this part up. We got him tested, and that's what she had said. He's always been super, super, like, insanely smart. But as he's gotten older, he's still insanely smart about stuff. It still seems like his brain is processing things as like like he's a teenager right now in a 7-year-old's body. And you can tell by like his mannerisms when he's trying to explain something. You can tell like the words aren't really there for him. Excuse me. It's like he's trying and he can't seem to gather it. Like he's like trying to understand, but he's having a hard time with it. Mm-hmm. But there are other behaviors that are showing that, where I really think it's high functioning. And then I learned later on in life that I actually fall on the spectrum, and I have ADD. And these were all undiagnosed until I'm almost 30 years old. And I find this out later in my life. I'm not actually declared as like autistic, but it's pretty, like I fall somewhere on the spectrum. Sure. Very, very high functioning, which I then also find out is very, very common in females. females in like their late 20s, early 30s, it's very common for us to have autistic genes and be undiagnosed because we're so high functioning. And then I find out that his dad was also diagnosed with autism. Yes, his dad actually was diagnosed with it. You know what I mean? So it's not like he just fell on the spectrum. It's that he does. And then his brother also, who is closer to his 40s. So it's like, you know, it's all these genes in it. And now I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, my problem though, and I want your opinion on this because you seem to be, you know, very like-minded, whether it comes to parenting or just being, you know, just a person in general. My biggest, I wouldn't say like fear, maybe not like the biggest concern, but a big concern that I have. Okay. Let me be a little bit more let me clarify a bit more on that. I don't want it to be where we do find out, say that my son is autistic, right? And then all this stuff that he's learned, because he does know right from wrong, right? And he knows when he's doing something right or wrong. And there are things that he definitely can control. He just chooses not to, right? I don't want all this work of trying to build this amazing young man that he's growing into be washed away by people who are in his life. And I know several of them will do this, and they're going to just excuse every bad behavior. Oh, he's autistic. It's okay. He's autistic. It's like, in my opinion, is that, no, yes, maybe he is, but that doesn't mean that this excuses behavior. He doesn't just get to be an asshole because his brain's different than ours. He understands what he's doing. And that's how I feel about it. What's your take on that? Has that ever been a concern for you?
That is a very, very profound, valid thought process. So we could really break that down. But
yeah.
We don't have like 60 hours to stream.
No, maybe we'll have to do a side segment one day. We'll just do a collab stream one day where we're just talking about it.
Absolutely. Now, before I say anything else, again, in full transparency, I'm still learning about all this, and it's a learning process in that regard. So, a handful of things to unpack here. One, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think it comes from a good place, and also, furthermore, to add on to that, I want to applaud you for doing what a lot of parents don't do, which is this. You're taking responsibility for your child. And responsibility, that word in general, is such a powerful word that insinuates just this overwhelming force of that is my kid, as opposed to passing it off as an excuse, as a crutch, as something to be justified for one's actions, in this case, an autistic child or whatever. And like, discipline still needs to happen. Expectations still need to be set.
Right. And I'm not saying like beat your child. You know, that's not what discipline is. It doesn't mean just beating their ass.
Exactly.
Like, take away stuff, time out, you know, like those still exist.
Absolutely. And I think that's the problem. Now, this can go on a side tangent, but I will say this, like, discipline is so much more than just a physical touch of any kind.
Yeah.
In many, many different ways. I will tell you this flat out fact. Children register pain. They absolutely register pain. Obviously, a good parent just doesn't freaking go to town on the kid. That's obviously terrible, and that's called abuse. But I will say this.
Thanks, stepdad. Anyway, sorry.
The few times,
if I don't crack humor about it, I'll never heal from it.
Smiling on the outside, crying on the inside.
Might be crying on the outside soon. Who knows? Sorry.
Well, as soon as the stream is over, she's just gonna freaking blow up. And oh my god, Chavez! I was trying to.
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten off stream after opening up, and I go to Negan. He just looks at me and he's like, "Do you need whiskey or a hug?" And I'll be like, "Yes."
Both at the same time. No, but no, you're absolutely right. Like, in this day and age, I think a lot of parents, you know me, I'm incredibly bold and to the point. I think there's a lot of weak parents out there. I really do. They're afraid to, and I'm not saying, again, you need to you need to hit your kids, but they're terrified of their children, or they put them in, say, daycare, which I know there's scheduling and issues there. I'm not passing judgment on that, but they literally put them in daycare so they don't have to deal with them. And that is wrong. That is a negative thing, And so back to the whole spectrum and autism and so on and so forth, regardless of our children's issues, plural, our children's issues.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna raise the girls to be ladies to the best of our ability, and we're gonna raise our boys to be gentlemen to the best of our ability. We just got to figure out how to navigate and work through these treacherous waters of, what doctors say, what books say, what our elders say, what our parents say, what our grandparents say, and then it's up to us to compile all that information and execute efficiency in a way that actually best suits them, what is best for them. And therein lies the rub. There's the challenge. There's the challenge right there. And there's really no concrete answer or blanket answer that you can throw out to anybody where it's like, oh, well, Sin, your child should do A, B, and C. Well, Chavez, your child should do D, E, and F. Like, actually, no, that applies to this and that. Like, there's the personality traits. It goes down a massive rabbit hole. So all that to say, discipline in general is the core structure of that level of respect and what I call healthy fear, to where they in turn will hopefully treat others the same way that they want to be treated, right?
I have a hot take in relevance to what you said, and then I have a follow-up question for you. Okay? So I think, yes, modern parents, in a sense, are afraid of their children blowing up. I think they're also afraid of their children resenting them, like they resented their parents because maybe they were brought up a certain way. I think they're also afraid of, and I struggle with this, of where is that line between this is okay discipline, okay, this is borderline abuse, right? Because we know what actual abuse is, right? For me, I grew up in a very, very toxic, unstable, I should have been taken away several fucking times household. Okay. The police force failed me. DCFS failed me. It is amazing to this day that I actually made it into my adult life. So that's how bad it was. I don't say that lightly. I open up about it. If anybody comes around stream or they watch the VODs or they listen or get to know me, I'm open about it because I have taken the time to go ahead and try and heal myself, because I don't want my inner childhood that was broken to reflect on my children. Right? So I find myself, especially with my son, trying to find that fine line of, okay, this is discipline, but I'm afraid of being too mean sometimes, because I remember when my stepdad would act a certain way that was, kind of similar. Excuse me, I have a horrible cough too. It doesn't help that I'm a smoker. But I would remember, it's not that it was exact. It's just that it triggers those memories in my mind of when I'm disciplining my son. And then I almost get afraid in a sense. And I kind of back away from continuing that discipline, because I'm just where's this line? And I struggle with that a lot. And so Negan has been a huge help with it, because he also, his parents weren't abusive, but they definitely teetered that line sometimes. He was the first child out of 8. So they definitely nailed it by the last few. They got it down now. He has a couple siblings that are still under the age of 18. But when he was born, it was hit or miss. He's there to back me up and reassure me in moments like those, where it's I have this constant fear of, I'm always teetering between, okay, no, this is discipline, this is okay, and oh my God, if you don't stop right now, you're going to end up just like your stepdad. Your kid's going to hate you. Your kid's going to resent you. And then in moments when he is being disciplined by either, Negan or his dad, I almost feel bad. Or I do feel bad. I feel bad, and I want to start crying, because even though it is not how it was for me, it triggers those memories for me, the PTSD in me. And I just sit here and I'm just my heart aches. I'm what if he feels this way? Because I remember being 9 years old and wanting to kill myself. I distinctively remember that. You know how fucked up that is?
Yeah.
And I think that is another thing that kind of plays into how parents are, is because they also are struggling with that line. But instead of trying to find that balance, they go the other route of it, where it's like, well, I'm just, basically no discipline at all. Let electronics raise my child. Take them to daycare. They can go ahead and handle it, and they don't step up to the plate, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. You have there's a ton of stuff to touch up on there for sure. I love this. I thrive on.
I feel like if I had a one-on-one conversation with like a psych major or something, they would have a field day with me. I really do.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, or at least for me, that I really thoroughly enjoy, like going deeper and not just the surface level bullshit that so many people do. Like, challenge the human psyche to a level of a deeper understanding of, like, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we saying what we're saying? What is the initial motivation behind said action or said word or whatever? I mean, you can get down to a molecular level on human behavior alone, which we're not going to get into that right now. But I will say,
no.
So I will say this: there's absolutely a balance. You hit the nail right on the head. It's a simple idea, but the execution on this idea is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And then so a few variables to be factored in. So in no particular order, the different unique traits within a man and a woman, to be honest with you. So I'll just briefly start there. The man, more of the booming voice, like my own. Like, I'll just say, I have to say one thing to my son, and other than some of his comprehension still being worked out, he knows daddy is serious, kind of thing. I have the voice, which is awesome.
I wish I was a dad, because I have to say things like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and even then it still doesn't,
Sure.
Yeah, I wish I had boom in my voice, just to for once, just feel like I fucking, they take me serious.
No doubt about it, and that's something that I think women definitely struggle with as a whole in regards to the disciplinary in the house, or discipliner, if you will, in the house. They can do it, absolutely, but that intimidation factor, again, we call it, like I said, a healthy fear. There's nothing wrong with a healthy fear, and a father coming home from work or whatever can absolutely emphasize his lady's point. Now women in general, and this is, I want to be very, very clear about something. This could go in a bunch of different directions too, but
however you want to take it, dude. This is your episode.
No, sure. No, it's fine. I like I said, I love this stuff.
I love how your camera, do you have an like, are you on a Mac or something, or like a, your camera is
the thumbs up. Yeah. The camera like registers. I can do some weird
My
stuff.
Mac used to do that. Yeah. That's an interesting finger. Continue. That's weird.
Yeah. Apple's technology, I can tell you, it's great.
I love it.
No, but like, so the woman being the nurturing, caring, compassionate, happy-go-lucky, like that. First and foremost, that is not. I'm gonna be crystal clear here. That is not a sign of weakness. As a matter of fact, it's actually an incredibly powerful strength, and it's not understood in that way by so many people, and especially other women, where they absolutely belittle other women for thinking like, again, nurturing and taking care and being an affectionate to their children. Like, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And that's to be encouraged and championed in that process of growth for the child. Whereas men, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we're taught, real men don't cry. Real men don't show emotions. We got to be a hard ass and freaking blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, man, that's actually a full on douchebag. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It takes a real man to be affectionate as well, and to slow some things down, and to be patient, and to not just rule with an iron fist and so on and so forth. Now,
Negan says he rules with an iron fist with a velvet glove.
With a velvet glove.
With a velvet glove. Sometimes when it comes to our daughter, because she is daddy's girl, and that is his biological child, so I don't care what anybody says, you're going to have a strong connection to your biological child than you do to bonus children. Not saying you don't love them. It's just, it's a chemical makeup, and that's okay. Don't feel guilty about that. When it comes to our daughter, though, that velvet glove is like extra thick and extra tight on there. Like, I'm not sure if that ever comes off.
Sure. Well, I mean, no, but that kind of proves the point even further is, again, back to the great balance. And one of the biggest things and I feel, first of all, let me back up and say, I actually feel a little inadequate to even talk to you about children because you have more experience in that field than I do. I might be older. I might have more experience in certain aspects. So I'm 39, so I have that experience, and I'm an
Jeez,
old
I knew
guy
you were old. I didn't know
but,
you were like a fucking dinosaur, dude.
oh, I'm in a full. I mean, I was back.
Should have had some clarification. I believe it was
like,
Jesus, your classmate.
Caveman style, actually, before.
Oh wow!
Evolution kicked into.
Was his hair really long?
It was pretty crazy. Let me tell you. It's
yeah,
wild stuff.
I believe
He's
it.
a cool guy, though.
Really
cool guy, though. True story. Very nice.
Too bad you couldn't put a good word in for me because I'm fairly certain I'm going under. I've been told several
times, right?
I've been told several times I have a special place for me down there. So
there you go.
I'm banking on it. So excited to see it.
That balance is so crucial and so important. And the biggest thing that I could say, at least what's working for me and all the books I've read and all the questions that I've asked to people who are much, much smarter than me, that have lived longer and who have raised multiple children, some of which have very, very few on the spectrum. Again, I don't have a ton of experience with this. One of the biggest things I could tell you is that when it comes to parenting, mother or father, or whatever the case may be, is you have to look at it through the lens of, this is going to sound silly, but it's going to get the point across. The best analogy I can come up with is you have to be an umpire. When you make a call on something, there's no turning back. You have to stick with it. You have to stick with it.
Oh, God.
Now, the challenge there is having the wisdom, the discernment, and prudence to be able to make a sound decision, to know that the call I'm about to make is exactly what my child needs in this moment. That's the challenge, because once the action is done, you have to deliver on that. You have to, because in turn, what you're doing is you're already subconsciously teaching them that mommy and daddy are being consistent in their execution of what it is that they're doing, what they're saying. Even if, now here's where it gets really tough, even if the decision was bad and you made a bad call, you have to follow through. You do. You really, really do. But basically, that's why we have, one mouth and two ears. We should be listening twice as good as we talk, right? We have to slow ourselves down. We have to evaluate it might be a split-second decision where you have to, act impulsively, but hopefully feelings and emotions don't overrule your actions, and you're able to train yourself in that moment of, hold on, let me analyze what's actually happened. Did so-and-so just throw a toy? Did they disobey me? Or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's tough. All that to say, it's tough. And with that time and being patient and slowing things down as best you can, analyze the logic in that reason and figure out what move you need to make next. But the other cool thing about having your compassionate care, so you said sometimes you even feel bad about it. That's a good strength, except in that moment, I feel personally it may be misplaced, because now what you're doing is you're second guessing yourself, and you're showing lack of follow-up and even a little bit of lack of confidence in front of your child. And they're like, wait a minute, hold on. They're smart. They're very, very smart. And everything I just said also applies to me as well. That's why I set up in the front, like, learn from my mistakes. Like, I've done a premature spanking and I felt bad because that was the flat out wrong decision.
Yep.
Could have handled that better,
Yep.
But anyway, these stories could go on and on and on, but I hope that makes sense.
It does. The last comment I'll make on that is that I think you're absolutely right. It's that is where my children, my boys, have not taken me as seriously, is because my follow through has been ass. I will warn and warn and warn, and finally, when it comes down to the punishment, either it's not the punishment I said it was going to be, or I just yell and then I move on. And something I have struggled with a lot is that follow through. I've been working on it a lot lately. I hate the follow through, because even though the punishment is just, I am now punishing my child, and it absolutely fucking blows. It blows and it hurts. And I now believe my mother when she used to tell me, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Oh, absolutely.
I do believe that. I don't believe my stepdad. he was the one who dealt the physical abuse, the verbal abuse, and all that bullshit. My mother, God bless her, we've done some reconciliation since I became an adult. It actually happened these last few years, like last 2 years. I called her one day and I said, I was like, hey, do you have a moment to speak? She's like, sure, what's up? I said, I just want to let you know that I forgive you. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, I realize now as an adult that you were just as much of a victim as I was as a child. And you had my other siblings to think about as well. And you had to pick and choose what battles, what you could fight because you were stuck. And you were also a victim. I was like, I want you to know that I no longer place any blame with you. I shouldn't have in the first place. And I'm sorry I did. I was like, but you are not to blame for the abuse. You are not to blame for any of the trauma that was caused. I said, as a parent where there's some questionable things that were like how they were handled. Sure. I think every parent goes through that. And I think that's normal. But I told her, I was like, ultimately, I just want you to know that I forgive you and I'm sorry. And since then, we've really worked on our relationship as an adult. And it's been nice. We don't talk as much because she's states away and she's still raising my youngest sibling who's still under the age of 18. But it was a big thing for me to realize as an adult. And yeah. I know. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to actually segue to a different, kind of different, but just like another question on parenting kind of thing. I was just going to say, we started this off and we had talked about, like, both of us have opened up about how, we have anger issues. Like, we do like a short fuse or whatever, like we're quick to it. How has that been as a parent for you? Like, how challenging has that been? Like, say one of your children are doing something, or like even maybe your wife, where, like, for me it's overstimulation where it can be the kids. I will say Negan's a godsend. He understands my overstimulation sometimes better than I do, where I actually haven't blown up on him ever. We haven't even yelled at each other. It's really weird. We don't argue. Sometimes I don't even think he's real, to be honest. I think this is all like, I think I'm actually in a psych ward. But how has that been challenging for you? Or have you felt like that guilt of where, like, maybe in the moment your anger has gotten the best of you? And then it's like, have you gotten to the point where maybe you've snapped on, like, let's just say your son, because he's a little bit older, and you've had to sit there and you realize that you snapped and you're in the wrong? Have you had to have one of those talks where you have a one-on-one with your son and you try to explain? I mean, I know he's still really young, but have you tried to explain to him about, like, you know what, I'm in the wrong, and, like, this is where we're at. Like, this is what happened. I'm sorry I reacted this way. This still stands. This isn't, I didn't mean this or whatever. Like, I've had to have, like, a conversation with my middle son, is where because we're having a lot of issues. Like I said, it's a lot of issues, and he's tested my patience. But I've caught myself where I've snapped in the moment, and I've sat down with him at eye level, and I've talked to him. I tell him, I'm like, listen, I know that I said this, and I want you to know this is not what I meant at all, and it was not right for me to say. And my son's looked at me, and he goes, it's okay, mommy, you're upset. He's like, I say things I don't mean when I'm upset too. And so I've looked at him and I said, you're absolutely right, dude. I said, but the difference is that you're a child and you're allowed to, because you're still learning. I said, I'm still learning too, but I'm the adult and it wasn't okay. And I'm sorry. And I've had to tell him that. And does it take away the fact that I may have said something? No, it doesn't. But it shows my kid to me. It's like, it shows you, like, hey, I fuck up too, man. Like, I fuck up. I'm human. I make mistakes and I'm sorry, dude. Have you had to come across those conversations with your son yet?
I have really only once so far, and I can definitely elaborate on this. One thing you said, though, I just want to touch upon, and I feel the need to encourage this. I read in God, I've read so many freaking books in my lifetime already.
I know. I love recommendations on the books that you've read, by the way. I love reading and I love learning. So
it's some really far out there stuff. And what I mean by that, sorry, just quick, like lightning fast tangent. Just the verbiage and the word use in some of these books, I have to go back and reread because it is so deep and intellectual. Like they'll use a whole sentence that most people would just use one word, but they break it down to such a, anyway, it's crazy. Anyway, so one thing I'll say is, one thing I've learned along the way after all these years is a prime example of leadership is servanthood. And it sounds like you have a very good grip on that, because what so many people lack in this day and age, so many people, is lack of humility. If you really, really want to get to know somebody, out of the blue, just ask them, when was the last time you apologized to somebody? And if they have to think for more than maybe 3 seconds, either A, they're going to come up with someone and they're lying to you, you know, or B, they just like, well, man, when was, and therein lies the problem. So that level of humility, I want to encourage that, because that also is priceless. And I cherish that. And I think that is incredible. That's what's going to make your kids grow up to be ladies and gentlemen, and to have that level of respect and honor and dignity and so on and so forth, because mommy showed some humility and I learned from her mistakes. That's a rare thing, a mega rare thing. So I just want to say that real quick. But to answer your question,
welcome to Sundays with Sin, where Sin ends up crying.
No, it's true.
Every podcast, look forward to it. I'm always crying.
Hey,
we cry together, guys. That's all we do here.
Well, all the more reason. No, seriously, that alone, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because so many people feel this need to, especially mothers, you know, I mean, dads kind of have it easy in regards to, again, passing off the excuse. And I mean this in a bad way. You know, I'm the father, I lay down the discipline in my house, whatever. But women and mothers are very much way more in tune to the sensitive nature of human beings, let alone their own flesh and blood, or their children, or people, or children they've adopted, or whatever. That compassion is so incredibly powerful, way more than anger, and it's very much misplaced in this world. And that's what I think is so beautiful and precious, because women, I almost envy that, to be honest with you. Women are way more in tune to that, and I'm learning every single day from my wife and other people across the board that have just helped me in countless ways. But to answer your question, though, yes, I've had those moments. Before I elaborate very briefly, I'll say I was absolutely self-aware of my anger problem, but me as a person. Let me go back just a little bit further and say very briefly, my experience in life, in a nutshell, I learned things way, way earlier on, probably earlier than I should have. And it sounds like you've gone through some of that too, in various ways. I am very blessed and fortunate to not have to have an abusive father or abusive mother or verbal abuse or anything. I'm very blessed and fortunate in that way.
What's it like being God's favorite? Just kidding. Sorry. It's that you'll notice my jokes, like, it really does come from the trauma, dude. People tell me, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so funny." I'm like, "Thank you." It's the trauma.
But seriously,
my sister literally has made a shirt for me that said, "At least my trauma made me funny," and she's making me a new one that I might turn into merch called "Try Not to Cry."
Well, there you go. I mean, hey, experience is undeniable, right? But it's up to us to take that and to turn it into wisdom, to trying to be a better parent, as you so eloquently said that basically earlier. But I learned these lessons in life way, way earlier, again, probably earlier than I should have. Although I had great parents, this isn't a sob story, but I'll just keep it simple by saying I've been basically misunderstood my entire life in every single thing that I've done, everything. Fast forward to now, that tension and that aggression and that buildup of me being incredibly strong-willed, and that persistence and determination and motivation to get to the goal that I want to get to, or attain the goal that I want to get to, has really impacted me in many different ways. So I've been working on my anger problem since, again, being self-aware, around 14 or 15. My 20s is when I really, really was like, okay, we're gonna dissect this to where I've got to be a better person. Now here I am in as a 39-year-old father, and I have so much wisdom and so much experience, right? I'm great. Then my son's born, my firstborn, And it's so ironic. It's so ironic how things work out, because even now in this stage of my life, in this chapter of my life, my son is a full-on mini me. That is me. That is absolutely me in a younger body. The focus, the drive, even the talking back at times, and the vocal, like, I'm not going to do this or whatever. Like, most parents will take that and be like, oh, he's being defiant and he's a terrible, he's a little cuss and blah, 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 or whatever. It's like, no. We need to take that motivation, that willpower, that strength, that self-sufficiency, and we need to mold that and shape that to be like, drive it in the direction it needs to go. Because when this world starts crushing our children, as it inevitably will, they will hopefully have a good head on their shoulders to be like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And hopefully in a positive way, be a nonconformist to what the other sheep are, doing in this world.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I can count on one hand how many times I've spanked my son. The first time was it's a little nerve-wracking. I'd like to think I knew what I was doing, but it's never at all what you expect until you do it. You're hitting another human being, but you're trying not to apply too much pressure, and then where to hit him, how to hit him, how many times to hit him, or whatever. The list goes on. You can break that down as well to velocity, speed, power, right? We're not going to go down that route. But
right, we're going to give you a full mathematical equation on the proper way to spank your child.
Power here. Make sure there's no wind resistance as you come down to the 45-degree angle. It's very important. But no, seriously, it's really
Negan. I was going to say Negan grew up with it was a paddle called Mr. Maplewood.
Yeah,
they still talk about it.
Should you use a tool or not? Right? I mean, and to each their own. That's kind of my point. But for me, that first spank, what I did is I did 3 lower, not so strong blows to get his attention, because I literally had to snap him out of this mentality and this mindset. I mean, it's like as if he was seeing red, and I needed to display that dominance, let him know that, hey, you cannot get away with this stuff. And if I did not do that, if I continue to do those kinds of things, he'd be growing up to be a selfish little prick.
He would think it's okay. It's like, oh, I got away with this. What's the next step I can do? Oh, I can do this. It's like you're going to keep on testing those boundaries until the parent establishes those boundaries. And it's very, very difficult as a parent trying to, like I said, teetering that line, that balance to establish that boundary without crossing that line of abuse.
Again,
it's very difficult.
Healthy fear. And what he was disobeying me over, or not complying with what I was telling him to do, was something very simple. We had a changing station on top of a dresser, and I wanted to change his diaper. And for days at a time, he would defy me. He didn't like it, or whatever the case may be. And I was very patient up until a point. And I was in my right state of mind. It's not like, I'm angry, I'm going to take it. It wasn't that. No, I was very, very particular. I tried my tone, and it kind of worked. But then it went and escalated into an actual ass whooping, essentially, literally. So, but guess what? It happened once, and it never happened again. And that's what I'm talking about. And I feel accomplished, even though I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous as hell, because I know my power. I know what I can do. I've been in many, many fights, and that's why I'm so good now at my anger problem, right? But I'm also a very, very passionate person, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
And to have that come out in a way from my son to me, for maybe a handful of weeks, I started taking things personally, which is not like me. My own son, like, you're defying me? How dare you speak to me? Like, and my wife's like, it's a freaking kid. What's wrong with you, Chavez? I'm like, oh, wait, yeah. What the hell's the matter with me? Talk about keeping yourself. Start
making you question yourself. Where you're just sitting there, you're like, who the fuck? I will mollywop your ass.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, dude, that's a child. And then you're like, yeah, you're right.
And
okay,
it's your child.
It's your child. Exactly.
Right? So anyway, and in closing, to answer your question, I absolutely so that was one thing. Well, actually, I think I did right, but then I spanked him another time, and it was pure emotional. It was I was having a terrible, god awful day. In fact, I think I even argued with my wife. I think I just got laid off from my job or let go or something. Like it was like the perfect storm of
Yeah,
stuff. And of course,
I've been
he
there.
pushed the wrong buttons. There you go. He pushed the
I've been
right
there.
buttons, which is really the wrong buttons, but he pushed the
Mm-hmm.
buttons. I got emotional, which is not like me. I had one massive spanking on this kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
no blood was drawn, thank God, but he had trouble sitting down for almost 2 days. It was that bad, and that annihilated me and it crushed me. So much so, in full transparency, that was probably the last time that I cried. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? What is wrong with me?" Then the following day, because I was so shocked in myself at how I lacked that level of self control. The following day, I tried to explain to a 2.5-year-old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly how old he was, but anyway, I tried to explain the best way I could in all humility. But enter the spectrum autism part. What he's struggling with now is his comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea. And I literally, the efforts were there, and that was noble. Son, I'm sorry. I did all the right things in that regard. I apologize. He didn't even remember what happened.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
and
that
that's
to me, honestly, is very, very frustrating for me, because that is a hint and a symptom of a greater problem being autistic, is that level of
mm-hmm.
comprehension. He doesn't really talk, really.
Yeah.
Really, he doesn't. Even now, coming up on 5, he doesn't really talk.
I just gotta say, first and foremost, I sincerely appreciate you and applaud you for being open and honest about that, because
Sure.
that is a very, very tough thing to openly admit, especially on a public platform, live recording. People are listening, they're watching us. You're admitting to another human being. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's like, dude, I'm a fucking grown ass man and I let this happen. Like you have this mindset where it's like this should not be a thing. And I just want to say, from another parent perspective, from a human being perspective, from a woman's perspective, like it means the world to me that you're openly like you're being open about this. And I think a lot of parents can benefit from hearing this, because I know for a fact every one of us that are actually, the ones of us that are trying to discipline our children, trying to raise good people, trying to break habits, just trying the best that we fucking can. Every one of us have either gone through this already or will be going through this at some point in time, depending on the age of our children. And I want you to know that from a mother of a 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and then, my daughter, I've been in her life for 3 years now, a 9-year-old. I can't promise you that it won't ever happen again. I can say that, you probably will go through a time period where you're going to, refrain from spankings. And it could be a little bit different, because he definitely is showing heavier signs than my son did on the spectrum as well, where you have a little bit, whether it be like, unwarranted guilt or, for me, I find myself I feel guilty like all the fucking time. Anytime something is going on with him, I feel guilty. I'm like, am I not doing enough? Did I do something wrong?
Mom, I got to interject real quick and just say, mom guilt is a huge thing.
Dude,
it is real. It is absolutely real.
It is so
I get it.
Fucking bad, Chavez. It is so fucking bad. I literally the other day, and the only reason why I love that I'm able to bring this up with you. I had no intent on doing this, right? I had no intent on bringing this up. But whenever you mentioned about your son, and it just spoke to me, because my son has been struggling so fucking hard.
It's okay, girl.
Ooh. Hi, like I said, we cry on this episode. It's like something happened over Christmas break. And when your child is going through so many things and like behaviors that are not like them, for me, okay, so trigger warning for any listeners listening to the recording, or any live listeners now, okay? I am a rape survivor and survivor of child molestation. And when I noticed behavior changes in my son, I started panicking, because some things it's like, God forbid, like I really don't know. I swear to you, I would be in jail if I find out that something has ever happened to my children. I mean that. I would 100%, you guys would never see me again because I'd be locked up for life.
I get that.
100%. And I know people, I know there's like a trend going around recently where someone, they asked a couple moms and they're like, would you kill for your child? Right. And a lot of these moms were just like, kill. I mean, that's extreme. And they were like kind of skipping over or teetering over it. And I want you to know 100% vulnerability here right now. There is not a single fucking thing that I would not do for my child. And that means that I would go to the extremes for my child, for any of my children. And that includes my daughter as well, who is not biologically mine. Because my job as a parent, when I took on that role for her, and when I had my sons, I took on a responsibility being a parent as I decided, like, I'm responsible for you. I'm here to help mold you into a decent human being. I'm here to mold your physical, mental, emotional state of mind, and I'm here to protect you at all fucking costs, and I will always do that. And so my one of my things that I've had to my son's been going to therapy and stuff, is I had to ask some really difficult questions to him of like, how can I try to ask this and get a 7-year-old to open up if something had happened. And when I tell you I've asked every single fucking possible different way that I possibly could, you know, everything comes back where it's like, no, 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 thank God. Right. So now it's no longer, I don't believe, you know, anything has happened, but it's like, that's one of the things that has crossed my mind. And so, you know, when we started this episode here, I didn't intend on going down this route, this rabbit hole, if you will, of like parenting, you know, because it's not like I run a parenting podcast. I run a podcast about meeting people and streamers lately and learning about you as a streamer. I don't fucking know, man. I already got 2 podcasts. Might as well throw a third one in hell, you know? But it just it really spoke to me when you opened up about your son, you know, and me and my son have been really going through it. And I'm kind of at this point where I'm exploring like my last resort options here, where it's like, man, I don't, if this is my Hail Mary, if this new method that I'm taking right now does not work, I have no idea where to go forward. And so I'm really hoping on it. I think today getting this out here has definitely helped me a lot personally. So this is completely selfish is what I'm saying.
No. I know what you mean, but I think that in turn also comes from a really good place, because it sounds like there's a small element of, and this is me just being my candid self, but it sounds like there's a small element of grace that you actually need to work on in regards to you've had a rough background, period. Yeah. That is always going to be at the forefront of your mind, because that is your undeniable experience. So naturally, like a good parent, like a good mother, you want what's best for your kids, right? So to put things into perspective, it's not like you're sheltering them, but you are absolutely defending and protecting them and trying to guide them to the best of your ability. That's all you can do. But that level also of grace, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm using this as an example. A lot of parents will actually put their own kids on a pedestal and sometimes even expect more of them. But they do indirectly, passively start pushing a little too hard, because they do want what's best for them, but it's actually a little overbearing. And there in turn also lines that level or that line and balancing in that regard too. So
I think
again,
that's
it comes
definitely
from a good place, though, for sure.
I think that is
being graceful. You know,
that is definitely something that has, you know, he's opened up to me recently about things that I didn't really take into perspective, you know, and I'm grateful that he did, because we've talked now a few times about some things that, like, you know, maybe it's like the abundance of choice, which I'm gonna be really real with you. It is cat litter. He has to clean the cat litter. he had one weekend where he got in trouble because he was putting his hands on kids at school and stuff, and just all this. It's not. I'm really pissed off at his school because his school says he's putting hands on kids. I think he's just being rough. He's being a boy, and I think that he's not crying when they're being rough with him. They're crying when he, is dishing it back. That's what's happening. And so I'm kind of leaning back a bit on how I'm disciplining on that, because I'm just like, man, if y'all want to keep blaming my kid, put some better fucking eyes out there, because I'm really starting to catch on to the shit, Yeah. And it's definitely he got in trouble, so he had to go ahead and help me with laundry that weekend too. And so we have a house of 5, and I'll wait a few days to do laundry. And so we'll end up doing like 10 loads in one day, Wow. Yeah, it gets pretty bad sometimes.
Hey, no, you're streaming. You got, family first, always. Clearly you understand that, but you're also streaming. You got your own activities. You got your own life. You got to cut back, and you got to have some time to yourself. Like, I mean, balancing all that.
I don't know if you know exactly, because we've only like recently, connect. Like, it's not like we've talked every single day or something like that. We've established a friendship over the last like few months. But I have 3 kids under 10. I am the stay-at-home mom, so I'm doing all transportation. I spend an average of 4 hours out of my day just transporting my kids to and from school. Mm-hmm. We have wrestling on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have we just had our first wrestling meet today. I also go to school full time. I'm in school for my 2nd degree now. So I've been in school for 4 years now.
That I didn't know. Holy shit.
I also run 2 businesses, and I stream full time.
Okay, I gotta ask right away, and I'm gonna ask you a challenging question. I'm halfway being sarcastically, but I'm halfway being sarcastic, halfway being serious. Do you think you're taking on too much entirely? Do you think you're taking on too much?
Some days, I feel like it might be too much, so I make sacrifices. I won't go live, or I'll put off my homework a day. Getting back from the holidays and trying to get back into the swing of things. Oh, also, I started going back to the gym full time to get healthier.
Also, by the way, my side business, that is my gym. I own it. So.
Yeah, right. And another thing, no, there have been times where I have contemplated it, but I decided, I don't know how long it's been now. I know it's been some months, probably over 6. I decided that I was no longer going to take my antidepressants, my anxiety meds. I didn't like the way it made me feel. Okay. I've tested out several of them. I talked to my doctor beforehand. I talked to Negan. We had a game plan on how we were going to do it. And I talk on Wednesdays, on my Wellness Check Wednesdays. We've talked briefly about the dangers of just cold turkey in it. So I don't recommend that. Just want to put that out there on the record. I had a method to this. I talked this through with professionals, and I did it. I know for a fact, if I am not stimulating my mind, right, whether that be with the physical activity or keeping up with stuff, I'm happy in doing all of this. Like, genuinely the happiest I have ever been in my entire life. I know that if I slow down, if I let off the gas, I'm going to have a difficult fucking time getting back up there. I will say recently, I let off the gas pedal a little too much, and it was on school, and I was behind where I failed the class, and I have to retake it. Right? I have to retake this class now. But I decided to get back in there, submit just what I needed to make sure I still had attendance, reach out to my advisor and was like, look, I apologize. I fucked up. I want to retake this. I'm here. And I got back on the horse of it. In the past, and this has been with gym, this has been with any extra, hobbies that I've had, I have not been able to get back on the horse. In the past, if I fall off, I'm off. Mm-hmm. That's why I set a goal for myself when I came to the gym. I go for 30 days. And if I go for 30 days, I see where I'm at. Go for another 30 days. And if I make it that 30 days, then I'll look into personal training, because I made a 2-month commitment. That's the farthest I've ever gotten when it comes to the gym. Okay, we officially hit our month. I know that if I take off, I will not come back. So I didn't even do rest days. So I would just go into the gym just to walk on the treadmill, just to get some activity, but not over, stretch myself essentially. I have taken about a week off now because I do have a back issue that's been happening since before the gym. And I have an appointment tomorrow to go get that shit fixed, but that's regardless. That's besides the point. So to answer your question, there have been times where I thought maybe I was taking on too much. I realized that this is the coping, I guess, that is to help me get that serotonin that my body does not produce on its own. Because I don't know what exactly you or anybody in chat or any listeners know, but to kind of give a brief description about antidepressants is the reason why people get prescribed these. A lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, it's a cure-all medication. It's not. What it does is it gives you serotonin that your body doesn't fucking produce. But when you first start taking it, you have an abundance of it, and you don't have these receptors in your brain to capture it and to put it all out to your body. So that's why when people first get on medication and when they first get off the medication, that's when like the higher suicide rates happen when it's associated with medication, because they are extreme highs and extreme lows. So my body doesn't naturally produce serotonin, and because like a normal functioning person can just sit here and sit on the couch all day and they can still get serotonin. Their body naturally produces it. For people who don't have that, you have to replace it with something, whether it be medication, how I was, or now keeping myself busy where I'm constantly active, and that's producing the serotonin, and my brain has kept those receptors. It hasn't gotten rid of them. So it's constantly catching that shit. And I am now doing organically what my medication had helped me do for so long until I got a better understanding of it.
That's awesome. I love that story. Something that comes to mind that is going to sound kind of silly, but really gets the point across is, do you know who Dr. Pol is? The world-renowned vet who takes care of like basically every animal on Earth.
No, I don't think I do.
That's fine. It's wild. I'm such a nerd for this stuff. I watch documentaries left and right too, by the way. So he's a vet. He's well into his 70s, and he is still taking care of cows, horses, cats, dogs. I mean, make up an animal, and he's service to that. Ostriches, good God. And he said something that was so simple that really kind of made me think more about, as you so eloquently put it, organic, natural form of getting yourself off this stuff. And he said, a mind in motion stays in motion. That also goes for physicality as well in that regard.
Yep.
And he is this old, and he is probably 3 times he's stronger than me, and he's older than me, you know? And my point is that I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody who's really, struggling with that or whatever, but yeah. I absolutely believe, I firmly believe this, and this, I don't have a PhD, I'm not a doctor, but I am so confident that if people would apply themselves in a very unique way, such as your story, what you just mentioned, and your experience, if they took the natural route, they would never, ever have to go on pills. Not necessarily every single person, but I do think a massive majority.
I agree. And I said it several times. I'm not knocking anybody who is on medication. I needed that medication. I fully 100% believe where I was at, my mental state of mind, whenever I decided to actually seek help. Okay. I fully believe at that point in time, I needed that. If I did not get that, I don't think I would be here right now. And I've said this numerous times. But I also went into it telling my therapist, telling my psychiatrist, I don't want to be on this forever. If I can get off this, I would like to. I don't like the idea. And that's just a personal preference. I don't knock anybody who wants to do it. If you choose to, you choose to. That's your fucking life. Who am I to say how to live it? This is how I want to live my life, though. And so the goal has always been to do that. And I had been thinking about it that was the mindset going into it. But at the point in time when I decided to stop, I had been contemplating it for like heavily for weeks. And one night, me and Negan had a cup of whiskey or two sitting there hanging out. And I like playing this game of let's be brutally honest with each other and see who cries first. And he told me, he goes, all right. He's like, you ready? And I said, yeah. He goes, I don't think you need your medication anymore. And I said, really? I got excited. And he looked at me, it was kind of weird. And he's just like, I don't. It's like, I know you've wanted to get off of it. He's like, and I think you become self-aware enough and you have every tool available and you have the strength in your mind to go ahead and overcome this. He's like, I think you have the mental strength to combat it without relying on the medication. And little did he know that I had already stopped, and he didn't know this. And so a couple of weeks go by or whatever, it came up in a conversation casually. I mentioned how I had stopped, and he looked at me and he goes, you stopped taking them? I said, yeah. I said, you haven't noticed? Like, I feel like I've had a couple mood swings here and there. And he's like, I swear to God, I had no idea. He's like, I just said it to you like casually. He's like, I didn't think you were serious. And I was like, no, dude. I was like, I've been off of it for, it was like maybe like a month and a half at the time. And yeah, that was kind of reassuring too, because my fear was that once I got off, it was going to be very, very difficult to keep up the progress that I had been making with the medication, but this time without it. So.
Well, that just goes to show you that, I mean, that is one example of, mind over matter kind of thing. You needed what you needed at that moment. It treated a symptom of a greater problem, a deeply rooted problem. And then you were like basically dropping the hammer saying, I'm done with this. I'm so done with this. Let's move forward. And now you're, in your own words, I've never been happier. I've never enjoyed this.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Than before, that's wild. That's awesome.
I know there's a lot of shit going on in my life. And right now I'm under a lot of fucking pressure, or a lot of stress. Aside from all that though, I still am 1,000 times happier than I have ever been in my entire almost 29 years of existence.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Spectre actually points out something in the chat. I was actually going to touch upon this very, very briefly.
You're fine, dude. I've taken over way too much. It's supposed to be your podcast. My fault.
I love listening. I'm very, like I said, I'm a very passionate person. I love to actively listen and learn.
Same
in that way, but Spectre talked about this. I actually talked about this on a Chatting with Chavez segment a while ago. But big pharma, the industries, the machines. I mean, they're there to make a dollar.
Oh yeah,
and simple, and they will use you for their advantage. Not all doctors are bad, okay, but there's a good amount of them that are like, okay, well, this won't really hurt her, so let me go ahead and assign this, but then in the back end, let me make some money to do this or do that or whatever. It's very unfortunate, but the fact that you rose above and you climbed that mountain and you planted your flag of victory and saying, look at what I did. Like, and this isn't just like oh, good job, Sin, way to go. But like, no, your experience and your actions is a testament to your character and the fact that you're like, enough. I'm over this. I'm done. And then in turn, it's a win-win-win-win across the board, because now what you're doing is creating new proactive, positive habits that is being integrated into your lifestyle on top of all these things that you're already doing. But again, a mind in motion stays in motion. You know where your line is, you know what could happen, and you're holding yourself accountable to a higher standard. And that's a very rare thing that a lot of people don't really effectively know how to do. To be honest with you.
I'm working really hard on it, man. I'm working really hard on it. I'm trying to be different than, a lot of our peers, a lot of people, a lot of moms that are on the same age as me. I'm trying to be different than how my parents were. I'm trying to be different than I'm just trying to be healthy. I'm trying to be that 1% that's trying to be better, because we're trying to raise the next generation. And how do we expect them to go ahead and do better than we did if we're not trying to be better ourselves and show them that you can always change. I did want to comment too, actually, another, is it Miss Taggle? Or how do you say it?
It's Miss Stagel, actually.
Miss Stagel.
I used to say Mystical, but she corrected me once and I never forgot.
Okay.
It's Miss like bagel. Just
gotcha.
So anyway, go ahead.
Well, I just want to make a comment. She mentioned about anxiety medications, right? And I will say, I do still have an active prescription for my anxiety meds, but my anxiety meds were prescribed. They're actually a heart medication, and it's like a low dosage of it. And you're supposed to take it like if you have an ongoing, oh my gosh, and Fluff coming in with a rate of 28 viewers. Fluff. I love Fluff so much. If you guys aren't following Fluff, Fluff is a really dope-ass individual who doesn't get enough credit on this platform. He's helped countless people become affiliated, verified. He's constantly has like several tabs up. He created a stream team that helps with views and helps people get those views up when they're trying to reach certain things. It's called Lurker Squad. He is an amazing individual. One of my dearest friends. Thank you guys for the host and coming on in. I will say I do still have that medication. I couldn't tell you the last time I used it, but I do have it because sometimes it is very overbearing and it has like that extra little, it helps, you know, it helps. And I like that one because it's not like you got to take it all the time kind of thing. If you feel an anxiety attack coming on, you take it. Now it has to be like a very, very extreme, like I can't even tell if I'm like in reality right now type anxiety attack for me to even contemplate taking it, but I do still have it. So I know we're already like an hour and a half into this thing, which I don't mind, but I was going to kind of open up the floor to you and see if there were things that you wanted to actually touch base on that we didn't get touch base on, or if you had any questions for me or my community that you would like to ask. This is an open floor now where this is a prime opportunity, the hot spot, to either say what you want to say or ask me what you want to ask.
Well, I mean, like so many.
No, I'm not a virgin.
Okay. Well, the stream has been good. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I now know what I need to do. Looks like somebody is actually getting back to his medication.
Shut the fuck up.
Joke, funny, not funny.
Oh my god.
No, but I think I mean I can ask questions for days. I can talk for days. You know, I'm open to all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I have all the time in the world anyway, but I will say, just to be respectful of your time. One thing I will say to everybody, so Sin, to chat, and everybody else, especially as it pertains to Kick, because that seems to be like what everybody's been talking about. But I gotta say, just on a side tangent, it's nice to break free from the norm of kick this and kick that. I mean, it's no secret. You guys know I'm on Joker's panels a good bit of the time. I'm always well, I don't say always. I'm becoming more and more of a controversial figure.
Yeah.
And I love it. I don't mind it at all.
I do want to say, even though I have mixed feelings about the individual, about Joker himself, I do want to put this. I do want to put this on the record. I will never sit here and tell you that I'm not going to be your fucking friend just because you're friends with somebody that I'm not a big fan of. I just want to clear the air. It's no secret how I feel about him, but I am always going to be your friend. I highly respect you. You are one of my favorite people. I'm grateful for your friendship, and I'm not going to sit here and just stop it just because I don't like him. So, but continue what you're saying with your controversial shit.
No, I appreciate that. I really do.
Because that seems to be going around a lot, where people are just like, "Oh, you talked to so and so, we can't be friends anymore." And it's like, well, or like people are making the assumption, like it's like, hold up, I actually didn't say that, but I did say this, and it's just a lot of people are being so high school about it, and it's just like, all right, guys. This has been fun.
Well, that's one of the chatting with Chavez segments I did that I entitled, "Guilty by Association?" ? And it wasn't just him; it was so many others in general. Like, and I know everybody's got good intentions. Hey, watch out for that person. Watch out for that person. But like, first of all, I appreciate that, but I can also make up my own damn mind. And if I have half of a brain, I can judge somebody's character based off of their actions. That's just called life, basic psychology, right? And I can tell you that I mean, I'm not here to defend or offend or whatever the case may be, because everybody's opinions are their own. But what I can say is, I always encourage people to take the time to actually get to know somebody and actually interact with them yourself from source to source, not a middleman, not a fucking text message. Okay.
Yeah.
Not an email. Let's do an actual video call. If it's really that important to you, just like I've said, so many people that do have problems with me. I've said, I don't facilitate any of this crap over text message. If it's that important to you, I will make time for
let's just have a conversation, dude.
Follow up on that. You know, how many people freaking follow up on that?
I was going to say, I don't think anybody would, because that involves confrontation of a sort.
Yeah.
And people shy away. And okay, hot take. I think confrontation is good. I think confrontation is good. And the reason why I think confrontation is good is because people shy away from confrontation because they associate it with negativity. Confrontation is always negativity. And sometimes feelings need to be addressed. And it's good to get things off your chest to get a better understanding of somebody. So sometimes you need to have that confrontation. It doesn't need to end in fucking fist fights. It doesn't need to end in bad mouthing people and bad words and, you know, whatever, calling each other names. It doesn't need to end in that. You can sit here, you can have a conversation with somebody that you had a misunderstanding about or an idea about. You can have a one-on-one conversation with them. You could still feel the exact same way about them, or maybe like a little bit different, but you still don't like them. But you can go about your ways. Like but you got it out there. You had confrontation. It doesn't need to be toxic. It doesn't need to be negative. You don't got to sit there and fucking just, you know, run their name through the fucking dirt about it. I think confrontation's good and I support it.
Well, so it's funny you should say that, because that's something I've been preaching since I actually started on this platform. Is confrontation has such a negative connotation to it, and the fact of the matter is that most individuals do not understand the lost art of civil discourse. They take things personally, they back themselves into a corner, and most people are actually very much insecure about said topics of discussion or whatever. At best, really, how it should end, if anything, is you agree to disagree and you move on. And hopefully, if it's a friend or somebody you're got close ties with, then it's okay. You agree to disagree. You understand. You believe this. I don't believe that. No problem. But the problem is, again, the great disease of self and pride and arrogance. It absolutely excuses itself in the actions that it takes to say, Sin, you are wrong. I'm right. We're going to cut off this relationship entirely. Not only that, I'm going to take it a step further, badmouth you. Let me get really immature and make a post about you, spreading false rumors, gossip, drama, all that other bullshit. And then in turn, what happens is everybody loses respect for said individuals, because they in turn, a lie is a lie is a lie, and evil begets evil. That's just what happens. It's just a rinse and repeat over and over. And it's so funny you should say that, because that's exactly what I've been talking about since the beginning, is that the confrontation is a great positive thing, actually, because what happens is that there's an opportunity for both people to learn something about themselves or each other. In some cases, they may be arguing something that is not logical at all, and both parties are guilty, in which that's just a waste of time. But most cases, hey, I have my beliefs, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about it. Let's have that civil discourse. And maybe this person actually is right and this person's wrong. And if there's humility, which is very rare, as we discussed, oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. You know, that's a really good way of looking. I never thought about it like that. And then the relationship is deepened. But again, hardly anybody knows how to do that effectively. And that's sad. It's really sad.
Okay, and just to piggyback your statement here, it doesn't have to be one person's right, one person's wrong. It could be a difference of opinions where it's like, I'll go into this conversation, I stand firmly on what I believe. I'm going to explain myself. You can explain yourself. And maybe we learn something about each other. I'm not looking to change your mind. I'm looking for you to just accept the fact that I have a difference of opinion. And that actually is a really big foundation on mine and Negan's relationship, because believe it or not, we disagree about a lot of things. And one of the things we really disagree upon is politics, right? That's a huge thing. Okay. I'm not going to dive into it because that'll be a whole other fucking rabbit trail. Topic. Oh my God, be a whole other rabbit trail, and I'm going to get canceled or he'll get canceled. Whatever the case is, I don't even want to touch too much on that. But I will say there have been so many conversations between us that compared to when we first started dating and where we're at now, where you could actually sit there where he has taken on some of my beliefs because he's like, hey, you have a fucking point about something. I thought about what you said and I want you to know, like, hey, I'm at this stance. And there have been things that he has said that were complete polar opposites of what I thought to believe. And when he's brought it to light here, I'm like, hey, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. I've done some further digging or soul searching or whatever you want to call it, research. And I want you to know, like, this is where I stand. So it's not so, and it's not only just about right and wrong. It's about like, it's okay to have a difference of opinion. It's okay to change your mind. And it's also okay to not change your mind, but have a better understanding of another individual and not let that be the deciding factor of your relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You should never, ever shut down any speech really of any kind, in my opinion. Never, ever, ever is that called for in a professional realm and respect and dignity of any kind, whether it be professional, recreationally speaking, or a podcast like this, or whatever list you want to come up with. Like, the moment that any speech of any kind is shut down, that side has basically, in my eyes, already lost. Because it literally truly is not fair and balanced at all. And
when you go into a conversation and you are not open to learning, you are ignorant. Because if you believe that you cannot learn something new and you are so set in your way and you aren't even open to understanding something different, you're shutting out. You're not looking to grow as a person. You're not looking to learn. You're not looking to expand. You are becoming stale and stagnant. And you are ignorant. 100%. And that's not to be offense to anybody. That's just simply saying that you're just not even open to learning something new. I believe I'm going to be 29 in a couple days. And I believe that I still have so much to fucking learn. And I believe I'm learning every day. And I believe I'm learning from people that are younger than me and people that are older than me. I believe I'm learning from my children.
A fool thinks he is wise in his own eyes. And that's, I mean, boom. You don't really get much more clear than that.
No.
And I want to
hit him with the metaphor.
Something. I'm going to add on to something you just said, actually. Like, if so, in what Sin just said, if you did take offense to that, in my opinion, you're a part of that problem because you're not open-minded enough. You are ignorant. I absolutely agree with her on that. And that's the point of, again, well, you know what? I disagree with you. Well, let's talk about it. How about that? Let me challenge you with step one. But so many people don't even take that step, So anyway, you talked about essentially like closing comments, closing questions, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess what I will say, so I speaking of selfishness, I guess I'll just make this about myself real quick. For the ones who are in the chat who know who I am or have followed me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna give you a chance to plug in all your socials too.
yeah,
I do that every episode. I'm like, tell us where we can find you at.
Sure, absolutely. We can definitely get into that, but I will tell you. So apart from, in fact, I haven't even showed once. Apart from the drumming that I'm known for or not known for, if you know me, don't know me, whatever. This is my bread and butter. This is what I do. I've been doing this for over 2 decades.
He sucks.
Professionally, I suck. I'm trash. I'm
the worst drummer on Kick, actually.
Let's just end the stream. This is.
Oh, you're right.
I'm an idiot. I'm
just gonna delete the recording. Actually, I'm not even gonna upload this. It's trash.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
Garbage. Absolute garbage.
Thank you.
Let me just go get back on my freaking depressant.
Yeah, do that. It's like an hour and 42 minutes of my life. I'm never gonna get back. Thank you.
But apart from drumming and chatting with Chavez segments and gaming, those are my priorities in that way as far as the kind of content. But one of the biggest things I'm a massive advocate for is legitimate, true freedom of speech. I feel the need, as somebody who's been in the professional corporate realm of things, who has been misunderstood, who has been fired, written up, reported. I challenged systems. I didn't fit well into their narrative of any kind. And this is not a sob story. This is the truth. I've absolutely
because we're not crying for you.
Exactly. I have been suppressed and oppressed so many different ways in a corporate professional, my headset. 1 second. Hold on.
Of course. Jeez Louise. This guy.
Well, it did.
Professional.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've been hearing you this entire time.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. My headset was like okay, anyway, it must be a wireless thing. Anyway,
if it's Logitech, they have like someone soon, I think, actually.
No, this is like this freaking the Mac Daddy headset. I'm a fanatic for SteelSeries. SteelSeries is
more okay. Anyway.
But in my professional experience being suppressed and oppressed so many different ways, coming over here to kick and leaving that realm full to like all the benefits, amazing pay, and coming over here to pursue my dreams and passions, take that mindset and understand that I feel the need to defend
need for speed.
This platform, the need for speed. I feel the need to
defend
this platform to be proactive and speaking out against any injustices, to hold people accountable. I don't really go out of my way looking for trouble, but I will absolutely speak my mind on A, B, C, D, or whatever topic that comes up. So more than my drums, more than gaming, more than chatting segments, I'm just that kind of person in general. Yes, Spectre, I am the worst drummer. Let's be honest. I absolutely.
Sorry, Negan decided to lift my child up in the background here behind my spotlight like a baby Simba for a split second.
What that was.
Hi guys. Oh, give me a minute. I'm almost done. Okay.
Hey, buddy.
I'll be there in a minute. I don't like showing my kids on stream, so it's cut off here, I think. I'm big. I don't know. It's another thing that we can get into a different topic at another time. But I'm that parent that I will talk about my kids. I'll play games with my kids. They'll come in the stream room and stand behind my desk where I can see them. But I stopped showing my kids on stream because even though I have a good community and my friends have good communities, there are still some weirdos out there. And I try to protect them how I can. I don't knock parents who choose the opposite. I'm all for it. Whatever you want to do, that's your decision as a parent, right? That's your decision as a parent. This is my decision, though. So sorry about that. But anyway, continue what you're saying. We'll wrap it up. And yes, it is time for me to go say goodnight to him, too. So when we're done here, I will go say my goodnights.
No problem at all. I mean, honestly, I was just going to close with there's definitely, well, I feel confident saying there's a lot more to me than just an idiot who hits drum skins and does chatting segments. But I would love to absolutely see as many people as I can at DreamHack in October in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so passionate about.
I'm purposely not going so I don't have to run into you, actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I just wanted to wait until we were live to let you know that.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. I don't take anything personally. But I'll stop right there. I was about to go dark humor.
I think I know exactly where you're going to go because I was going to make, I think, the exact comment, actually. And I was like, ooh, don't say that, Sin. I'll just text it to you on the side.
Exactly. And then I'll be immature and take screenshots and be like, hey, did you see what Sin sent to me?
Cancel this girl, Sin X. I can't believe this.
She's so toxic. No, but it's I love helping out in any which way, shape, or form that I can. It's incredible, my journey on here, thanks to you guys, my brothers and sisters. And I guess truly the last thing I'll say, I say this at least once every stream, and I'm going to continue to say it because this is what I firmly believe in. So Sin and any other streamer in this channel and in this chat, I want to encourage you guys to continue to really, truly support each other in a way that is not self-seeking, meaning I would not partner up with somebody with the expectations of getting something in return. Furthermore, I don't look at you guys as competition. I really
absolutely not.
Don't. I look at you as brothers and sisters who are trying to achieve the same goal as me, hopefully make this a career at some point. And wherever I go, I want you to go. Wherever you go, I want to go. Like the legitimate family community mentality. I'm not like naive here. I know not everybody's the same, and I'm not going to do kumbaya crap. But for the realists out there like myself, who really truly do want to support each other and help each other out, I want to encourage you guys to not step on toes. Don't do that crap. Just don't do it, man. It's very it's a disservice to yourself and the person that you're either attacking or messing around with or whatever the case may be. Nobody can get to where they need to be alone, period. Period. That's not an opinion. That's not a point of view. That's not a story. That's not my version. That's the factual truth
Absolutely.
of this industry. You have to lean on other people. And of course, you can be selective in who you choose. And that's where wisdom comes into play. But all that to say, support each other, guys. Continue to speak openly and freely about the whole thing. And if there's an injustice, let me know. I will be more than happy to give my 2 cents. I have no problem going into the heat of the battle.
Just gonna hire Chavez as my online security bodyguard. Just gonna jot that down real quick.
I have dismantled people. It's been a lot of fun. It's pretty rare, but it happens.
Well, last but not least,
it's becoming more frequent. So.
Last but not least, Chavez, go ahead and tell us where we can find you on your socials. You want to go ahead and do a little self promo plug here for me, and I'll go ahead and I'll put the descriptions and the links as well, or I will put the links in the descriptions. Got it. Go ahead.
Let me reverse what I said.
Exactly.
So my platforms are obviously Kick, number one priority. It's obviously just kick.com/Chavez Flexington, Chavez Flexingtn, not TON, TN. The TON apparently was taken on. Long story on that too. Anyway, so that's Kick. The good news is that name can be applied towards every other social media platform. I'm pretty heavy on Twitter. I'm trying to get better. I currently kind of suck at it. I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to get better at it. I'm challenging myself. I have my own Discord server. We call it FlexCord. It's growing pretty rapidly. Which is
Don't
awesome.
go in there if you are easily offended.
She is not. She ain't lying.
I trolled somebody so hard yesterday. I trolled 2 people at once, actually, simultaneously in 2 different aspects. It was amazing. I felt so accomplished.
No, it's real. No, she's not kidding. Seriously, I'm being dead serious. If you're easily offended, if you have thin skin, if you take things personally, I'm sorry. I don't even want to interact with you in that regard because we're not going to be on that level. We're just not. We can talk casually. But if you want to go deeper and you can't relate to that, then forget it. You have to be comfortable with talking about sexual orientation, politics, faith, race.
Not taking anything offensive. Don't take anything personally.
Exactly.
Stop.
You have to
and it's so difficult to do. It is really difficult to do. I will plug that in as a last little comment there. But yeah. All right. Well, you guys heard it.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I'll just say very briefly. I don't expect other people to be this way. I don't expect people to react the same way that I do, but I am an absolute mechanical machine up here. I literally don't take anything personally. It is impossible.
That's a stereotypical man trait, I feel like, too.
I may be. I don't know. I mean,
typical. Not every man's like that, but it's definitely, I think it's in your guys' DNA or something. But yeah.
Something like that. It's probably
something like that. Probably. Okay. All right. Well, on that note, I do want to, that is so disturbing. I can't wait to clip that and have Ivy Burrito make a GIF out of that. I'm so excited. You're going to be my new emote. Get ready. Go ahead and unfollow Spectre. Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. Anyway, I do want to say thank you so much, Chavez, for being our guest this week on episode 24 of Sundays with Sin. You guys can listen to all episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can do !Spotify or !Apple in the chat if you are looking for it. If you are wanting to be a guest on the show, you can go ahead and do !Podcast in the chat. Fill out the form, and me and my team will get back to you within 3 business days, typically. It's open. It's out there. As long as you just have a good conversation you want to have, I'm down for it. I'm down about learning about people. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. So thank you so much for being on our guest, and we will do next week's episode. See you then.